Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help. And King of Floors, your vinyl, laminate, and engineered flooring superstore.
We got Dave. Should we take a break and then? Okay, let's go with Dave now. All right, former NHLer, hockey analyst, our Monday regular, one of our Monday regulars, Dave Tomlinson. Dave, thanks for doing this. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Sorry I was unavailable for that moment there. I was talking to Mike Whittingham on the phone. We were trying to figure out what's going on with the World Championship and seeing if there's an opportunity and, just trying to get our ducks in a row here.
Yeah. One of our old bosses.
He's my neighbor.
At 1040.
He's my neighbor.
Yeah. Didn't you help him
director of live events. Former director of live events at TSN 1040.
And he knew you were coming on our show, so he probably did that on purpose.
Are those World Championships going to happen, Dave, in Latvia? We know what happened with the Women's World Hockey Championships.
Yeah, and so that's the elusive question. The idea was that it's going to happen. It's just how would TSN broadcast it? Would it be on the ground, or would it be remotely with the cameras in the building but the broadcasters somewhere else? And then myself and John Abbott have always been doing the radio call of the World Championships and then getting an opportunity to do a handful of TV games because the two crews that are there can't possibly do 3 and 4 games a day every day. And so we're waiting to hear back. And, of course, Hockey Canada and the IIHF and TSN are working through the women's worlds that were canceled at the very last moment, and you feel for them. So a lot of things up in the air, and I guess that's just the new normal, and you kind of wait to see if you get a message that you got to pack and go somewhere, or you're not going to be involved.
Latvia, home of Arturs Silovs, by the way, Rick. Hey, first time we've talked to you, Dave, since the Canucks got back on the ice playing games. What have you seen, both positive and negative?
Well, the positive is this has really brought the group together, and they've really kind of formed a united front, and you've seen that with their second effort. People questioning if they even have the gas in the tank to play the first couple of games right after their imposed break. But obviously, even coming back and winning games in a fashion that they weren't able to earlier in the year, I think they've really found something within themselves as a group. But it's still going to be the roster's still the roster. They're still going to have some bumpy nights, and I think that when you're at home, you kind of feel that regular routine that you get back into and the excitement of that. Once you get on the road, you realize that you're, kind of running uphill for a while. And with no Elias Pettersson anytime soon back in their lineup, like that would be the next, vote of confidence they can get to have him be able to come back and play. But I think JT Miller's done a fantastic job playing center for this stretch here, and that's something I don't think people have talked about that much, that he's such a utility player and now is back to playing the way that he had last year. People aren't questioning him anymore, but it's a whole bunch of too little too late.
Hey, Dave, it's funny about Pettersson. The Canucks are 10-4-1 in 15 games without Pettersson. To me, that's an astonishing stat.
It is. I mean, you think about and you wonder about what was really going on with this hockey team when they had everybody at full health. There was a time where everybody was healthy and they couldn't win hockey games. And I think a little bit of it had to do with just their mentality. They thought that they were a better hockey club than they really were. They thought they could play a style of hockey, a more open style of hockey, because they had some offensive threats and they had some support players that are supposed to be counted on defensively. And, goaltending wasn't as solid at the start of the season like it is now for them. So I think, they learned the hard way this year that just because you have some surprising success in a playoff bubble, that coming back the next season doesn't guarantee anything. In fact, you can't surprise teams anymore. They're ready for you. They're aware of how Quinn Hughes, likes to hold on to the puck and curl away from things, and so they're taking away his time and space. They're aware that if they get under the skid of Elias Pettersson before, when he was healthy, that he's going to react, and maybe that'll take him a little bit off his game. And so some of the things that they're learning this season is going to help them for next year. But, they still have a tough go here. And Travis Green, he's going to be continuing to rotate lines and have a mishmash of forward lines of available guys and rotate guys in and out. And that's not a healthy situation for any coach, let alone one that's trying to coach for a contract.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say, also not a healthy situation is having a head coach without a contract extension. How do players react in the room? Do they care about something like that? Do they lose respect for a coach who isn't being given a contract extension by management? How do players react to that?
Well, it depends on the player, really. The guys that are considered a pro, like a Bo Horvat or JT Miller. Even Alex Edler, those guys will just play, right? I mean, they respect the game. They do everything that's possible to be at their best and help the team be at their best. It's kind of the fringe players or any player that perceives that the coach doesn't like him, and I'll let you guys, spitball who those guys may be. Those are the ones that, are secretly hoping that there would be a new coach because that's a new opportunity. And you could then sell in the summer, that coach didn't play my client, he didn't really like him. It was something personal. Keep him around for a breath of fresh air, whoever the new coach may be. But that's a dangerous game to play because that's not, as a player, in your control. The players talk. I mean, they're aware of this. Whether it affects how they listen to Travis Green, I mean, I think these games out of the break show that Travis Green has a firm hold on his team. And one of the things that I noticed is that a couple of his players took some penalties that were not of the smarter variety. I mean, costly penalties, dumb penalties, lazy penalties. And those players got right back out there the very next shift. Whereas before, Travis Green would sit a player, send a message. He can't afford to do that with how his roster is and, the energy level with these guys. So Travis Green, give him credit. I know he's getting paid to coach, but he certainly has been handling it like a pro's pro, but I know deep down it's bothering him that something hasn't been signed yet. Okay,
before we let you go, our white spot poll question, the biggest goal in Canucks history. 10 years ago today, Alex Burrows slayed the Dragon. So it is between, for us, Burrows' goal in 2011 and Pavel Bure, Game 7, double overtime against Calgary in 94. I don't know if you have any other candidates. You're a Vancouver guy. What do you say?
Whoa, those are tough. I mean, I was doing color on the radio.
Yes,
when,
2011.
Alex Burrows goal with a 2011. And again, that's the unknown audio because when Slay the Dragon goes, everyone just cuts off the audio and says, hey, that's it. But had some fun with that. As much as I was a Cup fan in '82 and watching and everything, just the ramifications of that Burrows goal, what was on the line for that team, the opponent, the player, all that for me points to that 2011 goal. I mean, you look at what Bure did and how exciting that goal was and the Canucks being able to move on past Calgary and overtime and everything like that. But guys, how 2011 went, and the history between the Canucks and the Blackhawks, and then the kind of the trouble that Burrows got himself into as a player, with the league and everything else. And I know some of that was afterwards too. I've got to go 2011. That was just everything happened at the right moment at the right time for that to happen. And then, of course, factor in what the call was of that goal by Shorthouse, one of his best calls that I've ever been a part of.
You're wrong, but we'll still have you back in 2 weeks.
You got to listen to the audio after the Slay the Dragon. I mean, who doesn't like to hear clobbered the Hawks? Come on.
Yeah, that's right. Now that you say that, I do remember you saying that. That's a slight, Dave. We'll work on that.
Color guys, we're just living in the play-by-play man's life. That's all.
Not enough respect, just like Bure in '94. Dave, thanks for this. We'll talk to you in a couple of weeks.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, guys.
You bet.